Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Matt Huggins. I also go by Huggy. I started playing poker back in 2003, give or take, back in the Chris Moneymaker era. I really enjoyed it. I got into it a lot. I ended up quitting my job around 2006 and playing for a living for a year. I was doing really well at the time playing live poker, not so much online poker. I was playing 1-2 no limit holdem, and I was making more from playing poker at in Atlantic City than I was at my job that I was working at before I quit. So that kind of sucked me into it a little bit. I enjoyed it a lot, and like I said, I played for a year. The reason I stopped playing is because I didn't, I just kind of got into it without knowing things about like bankroll management and what have you. I didn't really have a buffer for downswing, and I ended up hitting a downswing at the end that I just didn't have that financial buffer for, and decided that I don't want to like keep chasing that dream when I don't have the money for it, and needed to get a real job again. So that was like 14 years ago, give or take. I haven't really played a whole lot of poker since then, even though I like it. I'm in Central Texas now, and I just learned that there are poker or card rooms here. Casinos aren't legal in Texas, but it's like a membership based thing. So I guess that's how they kind of circumvent the legalities. It's legal to run the card room if it's just a member based thing. So they collect a daily or a monthly membership depending on what you're looking for. They collect an hourly fee or rate. So you pay those fees instead of the rake, and you get to play poker. So I've gotten into that in the past 3 weeks or so. I've been playing a lot at Texas Card House. I haven't checked out any of the other poker rooms here, just that one so far in Austin. I've been playing again the 1-2 no limit holdem. They also run bomb pots there, which I'll talk about that a little bit later. My progress so far, like it's been going really, really well, which is why I felt kind of encouraged to get into the vlogging scene. That and watching a lot of the vlogs on YouTube, it's a lot of fun, and I thought I wanted to, felt like I wanted to participate. So, like I said, my progress has been going really well. I've had prior to this session that I'm going to have you guys watch with me in a minute here, leading into that one, I had about 7 sessions, or I did have 7 sessions. I had 6 winning sessions and 1 break-even session, or nearly break-even. It was a small loss, but it's like a profit across those 7 sessions of $3,500, which came out to like $160 some dollars per hour and about $500 per session. But admittedly, I think, if I had to estimate, I think most of those winnings came from bomb pot hands, not as much from the 1-2 no limit hold'em hands. So I've never vlogged before. Like I said, I thought it would be something that would be fun to try. So that's really what I'm here for. I'm not a poker pro by any means. I'm going to make mistakes. And honestly, this first session that I want to look at, I just talked about how I had all these great wins over the last 7 sessions. The one we're about to look at is my first big losing session since I started playing. So we're going to kind of start with my vlog with the losing session, which should be fun. I appreciate any feedback that anybody wants to share with me, whether it's related to the vlog itself or, feedback on my hands or play style or whatever it might be. I'd be happy to hear from you. Otherwise, let's take a look at how this most recent session went. So this first hand is pretty uneventful. I get dealt pocket 7s in the small blind. There's a couple of limpers calling the $2 blind. Hijack position, I think it was raised to 15. Cutoff calls. I decided to call in the small blind thinking that the limpers are probably not going to re-raise, but it turns out the big blind re-raised instead.
That's a raise, yeah.
He raises to $100, which is pretty expensive. The original raiser calls. Nobody else does though, so I just fold.
Good luck, fellas.
So this next hand is a bomb pot hand, which I said I'd explain earlier. It's played as a game of pot limit Omaha rather than no limit Texas Hold'em. So both the game itself is different and the limitation of the bet size is different. It starts out with everybody putting in $5. Anyone who wants to play, that is. There's no small or big blind this time. The $5 is essentially an ante, and it takes place of the pre-flop betting. So the cards are dealt out to each player, and then the dealer immediately deals the flop. So you skip the betting and you go straight to the flop. It's dealt as a double board, so there's a top board and a bottom board. That means you get 2 flops, 2 turns, and 2 rivers, and everybody gets to play against those 2 boards. What that means is that, like, depending on your hand, you might win the top board if you're the winner. You might win the top board, you might win the bottom board, and if it's a really good hand where you hit both flops or both boards, you could scoop. Now it could go the other way too, and you could get what's called quartered. Being quartered means that you win half of the top board or half of the bottom board because somebody has effectively the same hand as you. So if you have a straight to the ace on the top board and somebody else has a straight to the ace on the top board too, you're going to split half of the pot with them, which means you get a quarter of it. So strategy is a bit different in both pot limit Omaha and because of the double board compared to just your standard one board holdem hand. A lot of the players that are involved in these hands, I think, not everybody, but a lot of them are typically holdem players. And I think the people who play holdem, they tend to have they have a tendency to overvalue their hands when playing Omaha. In Omaha, it's a lot easier to get things like quads, full house over full house, straight over straight, things like that. Like if you have a low end of a straight or like a bottom set, you might not be good. Somebody else could have easily flopped a higher set than you. There's a higher likelihood of that happening in Omaha compared to Texas Hold'em because there's so many more cards dealt out before the flop happens. Everybody has 4 cards instead of 2. In terms of strategy, I try to keep the tendency of overvaluing hands in mind, and so I try not to bet out too much for things like bottom set. I usually check those instead of betting. I might call a bet depending on how many other players are involved and what the other board is, and like my strength on the other board as well. If I have something like bottom set, I might just fold it unless I have like a strong draw or a strong hand on the other board as well. The other consideration that I like to keep in mind too is that in Hold'em, like you want to raise to try to get people out if you've got a hand that is best but could be broken by a draw. Whereas with Omaha, you probably, especially with the double board, you want to keep more people involved in the hand. I shouldn't say because of Omaha, it's really because of the double board. You want to keep more people involved in the hand so that there's lots of money going in the board, so that if into the pot, so that if you win or if you chop, you're not just getting your money back. So like, let's say you go heads up against one other player on the double board. If you guys are betting and raising over and over, heads up, and one of you gets the top board and one of you gets the bottom board, you're just getting your money back. Like there's no reason to bet at that point other than trying to get the other person to fold. You want other people involved in the hand so that you're able to win that other money if you've got a winning hand. For this bomb pot hand, I'm in big blind position with a starting stack of $140. I'm dealt a pair of jacks with 7-5 and it's double suited, hearts and clubs. With 8 players to the flop, the pot is $40. The flop comes down ace of hearts, queen of hearts, 8 of spades on the top board, giving me third pair, the second nut flush draw, and a gut shot straight draw. And on the bottom board, 8 of diamonds, 6 of clubs, 2 of clubs, giving me an overpair, the third nut flush draw, and an open-ended straight draw at the low end. Given the combination of draws, I get a little overzealous here and lead for a pot, $40, and I get called in 2 spots, bringing the pot to $160. The turn brings the ace of spades on top, pairing the board and making my draw much worse. I'm hoping that I'm only up against trips there, with the possibility that my flush and straight outs are still good, as well as a jack for the boat. And the 7 of spades on bottom, which doesn't improve my hand from the draws I already held. I slow down here, checking in hopes of getting a free river. Unfortunately, the last player to act bets pot for $160, and although looking back I'm not happy with this play, I reluctantly call all in for 95 more, hoping that one of my draws hits and I'm able to win one of the boards. The third player in the hand calls as well, making the main pot $445. The river brings what I was hoping to see the whole time, which is the 9 of hearts on top and the 9 of clubs on bottom, giving us a flush on both boards, the second nut flush on top and the third nut flush on bottom. The other two players check the river to showdown, and we unfortunately see some bad news.
Got a flush on both. Oh my god. That hurts. That's it. Wow.
Yep, the player on my left reveals he hit the nut flush on both boards, scooping the pot.
Oh yeah. You got a higher flush on both of them. Damn, that's crazy. That's in.
This next hand is another bomb pot hand. I'm in the small blind position with an effective starting stack of $195. With 6 players to the flop, the pot is $30. The flop brings ace of spades, jack of diamonds, 7 of hearts on the top board, and king of hearts, 6 of diamonds, 3 of spades on the bottom board. I've got 2 pair, a gut shot straight draw, and the backdoor nut flush draw on the top board, and the backdoor flush and straight draws on the bottom board. I decide to check, and it checks around to the button, who bets pot. I think about it, and I decide to call with the idea that my top 2 could be good, and that I have some opportunities to improve on the turn, planning to fold to a turn bet if I don't see any improvement. 3 others call as well, bringing the pot to $150. The turn brings the 5 of diamonds on top and the queen of spades on the bottom. I pick up the 3rd nut flush draw on top to accompany my top 2 pair. I also pick up the nut flush draw and a wrap straight draw on bottom. At this point, I believe that any ace, jack, 8, or non-pairing diamond will win me the top board, and on bottom, I expect that a jack, 10, 9, or spade could all be outs for me to pick up the pot. Once it checks around to me, given that I'm holding top 2 pair with no possible straights or flushes on the top board, along with the number of outs to stronger hands on both boards, I decide to bet. I bet pot for $150, and I get 2 callers, bringing the pot to $600 total. Unfortunately, the river doesn't bring good news. On top, we see the 10 of hearts making a straight possible and not improving my hand in any way. I'm hoping my top 2 pair are good, but I'm not feeling very confident about it. On bottom, we see the 4 of hearts, leaving me with a measly pair of 10s, a very weak holding for this game. The river checks around, and the player closest to my left shows ace, ace, jack, 6 with clubs for top set on the top board and a pair of aces on bottom board. Both of those beat my hand, and it also means that ace and jack were not outs for me to win there. I needed to hit my gut shot or flush, meaning I had fewer outs than considered. The other player shows king 7, 6, 4 with spades for a pair of 7s on top and 2 pair, 6s and kings on bottom. He also had a higher spade draw than me on the bottom board when I got my chips in on the turn, meaning that only my straight outs were good for that board as well. At the end of the day, it was a $360 loss at the table, not counting the membership fees. But you know what? It was our first big loss. I've been doing well so far. I'm looking forward to playing again, and I'm confident that things might go well again in the future, in the long run at least. So I hope you'll join me again on my next blog. Again, I'm receptive to any feedback that you have, whether it's about the blog itself, my play, or whatever it may be. I'm happy to hear your comments. Thanks for watching.